I'm Kristof from Dawn of Ashes, and you're listening to Rocket Night.
Yeah. Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel good. Now, get on down.
Sure.
Favorite part of touring?
Um, Probably just the experience in being in different areas, kind of checking out different locations, and I don't know. I like to check out a lot of spooky areas, so I check out like the abandoned locations and stuff like that when I can. But it's kind of rough when we're kind of going from state by state, and we play a show and then we have to immediately go to the next state. So when we have a time, I like to kind of venture off.
Do that. Would you ever go to the catacombs if you're in like France, like Paris or anything? Would that be a place you'd ever go to?
Oh, for sure. I know one of uh, band members of DOA already went when we went and played Poland, and he kind of left and went and checked out a bunch of those areas. We kind of just stayed in Poland.
Right on. What is the favorite tour that you've been a part of?
Probably being on tour with Demu back in 2010. That was an experience. I mean, I feel like every tour kind of has its own charm, but that was a huge deal for us.
I can definitely understand that. How do you feel that the musical atmosphere has changed throughout, like, let's say the past decade?
It's a lot more challenging. I think social media has kind of put a wall on a lot of things. I mean, it has its pros and its cons, but it's definitely affected bands and artists a lot. So it's just a completely different time, and you just have to figure out creative ways on how to kind of get yourself out there. Now it was a lot easier back in the day.
I can agree with that. I think, do you think that nowadays bands have a lot more competition with each other when it comes for vying for airtime and media play?
Honestly, I guess it all depends on the artist, because I feel like we're all on the same level now, because I feel like it's even the bands that are considered, like, let's say, bigger than Dawn of Ashes are still having trouble as much as we are, just because it's rough. It's the industry has just become really difficult. And I've heard like super successful bands having issues now.
All right, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. What do you enjoy doing during your free time?
um I'm a hardcore gamer, so I game a lot. I do a lot of reading. I'm kind of a homebody. I kind of isolate myself and kind of be as productive as possible. I'm not really a social person. So, but I'm either just kind of relaxing, and I do a lot of gaming. I am guilty of it.
I was actually gonna ask what your favorite game is if you played any, man.
I always play games. I mean, you talking about in general or like lately?
Lately, like I just picked up Dying Light 2 and Horizon Forbidden West yesterday.
I'm playing Dying Light 2 right now. and Destiny 2 is my game. So I play a lot of Destiny 2, and I don't know if you've been keeping up, but I have this dark ambient project that just got signed, and everybody's been kind of calling me out that it's completely inspired by Destiny 2, which I mean,
There's
I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it. You know, I actually I was playing Destiny 2 and I came up with the name and everything.
that's actually really cool, man. I know some bands uh have been influenced by like Doom and things like that because Doom has a really heavy soundtrack,
Oh yeah,
and things like that. So yeah, I'm a huge nerd myself. I do when I call myself a nerd because I not only game, but I read comic books and I know all of the lore and I
I'm
really
uh
dive into it.
I'm on the same level as you. I'm like, horror, sci-fi, huge fucking Star Wars nerd, and
Oh yeah.
um I have comics, I love Spawn and all that. So I get it.
um all right, well, that you brought up Spawn, are you hoping that they create a new movie? I know there's been rumors flying around for years, but some people are like, oh, it's not gonna happen, and others like, it's gonna happen. What do you think, man?
I honestly don't know what to expect. I mean, the last thing that was interesting from Spawn was that anime that was on HBO. I thought that was
Yep.
like the coolest thing that came out of Spawn, but the last movie, it was okay, and I don't know the way that movies are now. I just don't know if it's going to be anything that I would be like blown away by. But who knows? Depends on who does it, I guess.
I will definitely agree with that. I think that the Spawn movie from I think it was like 97 definitely had Crow vibes to it. I mean, if you
Yeah,
watch them side by side.
yeah, it was decent.
Um, yeah, man, I'm a huge Spawn fan myself. I got into an argument the other day about the origins of Nightcrawler from the X-Men and how he came to be. So I kind of dive deep into that. So that's cool. I mean, because it doesn't seem like people read a lot of comic books these days. It's mostly manga and anime. So it's cool to see that people are out there still reading actual comic books and stuff. Um, all right. So how do you create music? Like, walk me through your creative process. Like, is there something that you have to do first, or is there a certain order in which you do things, or is it just kind of all over?
I mean, I guess it depends on the album, but majority of the time it's kind of the same way when I draw. I basically just kind of draw a line and kind of see where it goes. So I I don't know. I don't really feel like I ever have something in mind where I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to make a song and it's going to sound like this. Or if I ever do that, it ends up coming out completely different, or I end up like picking it apart. Um, I just feel like I kind of create sounds and kind of see where it goes. Especially on the last album, I feel like the last album, it was more the concept and the theme and kind of like what I was going through during the time that kind of brought it all to life. But a lot of the, like, my writing is like I create sounds and then kind of branch off from that one sound, or I'll create a part and see where that part goes. It's never really I have anything kind of in place in my mind where this is the way this song's going to sound.
That makes sense. I like that answer. It's a pretty straightforward answer with it. Um, all right. So, uh, places that you, I mean, you and I have talked about this before, but the interview went. So, if you could stop in one country and play in one country, what would it be?
I think I mentioned Japan would definitely be one. just because
Yeah.
we haven't played Japan yet, and I think just kind of experiencing the culture, and I just know that they're very into music over there. So especially metal, they're like hardcore about metal over there.
Oh yeah, Dirt and
So
Gray. Oof.
yeah, and a lot of like talented artists and musicians have come out of there. So um, yeah, I think the experience of just playing Japan would be pretty awesome.
I agree with you on that. They do have a lot of metal acts that a lot of Americans don't know about. You know, they have
Right.
some really heavy ones. One that's fairly popular here in the States would be Dirt and Gray, I think is one of them. It's fairly
Yeah,
popular.
the new metal kind of band.
Uh Newer, I'd say they're very dark though.
No,
Their
no, I
music
mean
videos.
new metal
Oh,
as in like kind of like
oh,
Corn and that type of new metal.
n- I don't think I'd
No,
classify them as that. No, no,
uh,
they're definitely darker. They're very heavy. Um,
I don't really
I don't know.
listen to them, so
It's unique, man. I don't know how to explain it just because I listen to so much music. You know, it's
I think when I heard him, I think it had a very Mudvayne sound to me. That's just me. So
well, I mean, I can definitely see where that comes off, you know, but you know of them, so that's one of the cool things.
yeah,
Um, if you played in Japan, would you want to do stadiums or would you want to do like smaller like venues, like clubs, like smaller as in like let's say machine shop or something like that, not a giant stadium?
I think I mentioned this in the last interview before whatever happened to it is
Yeah.
in the 90s. I grew up in the like surrounded by the hardcore and punk scene, and I was in
Mhm.
a prior to Dawn of Ashes, I was in hardcore bands, and I like the up close and personal interaction with the fans and how they kind of bring energy to the band. I like the whole experience of like everything kind of makes the event what it is. I feel like sometimes the stadium stuff is kind of like it's cool because it's big and there's a lot of people, but it's not very personal with the band and the fans. And I think when I perform, I feel like if we did a stadium, I would find a way to do that somehow.
I can
So you know, I kind of like the smaller venues, to be honest.
I can okay. I definitely feel that. So here's a question. I've noticed that every time I see you, you have a different makeup scheme, or you know, there's something different. So what exactly inspired you aesthetically for your image? Because I know, you know, there's people who will take, you know, and say like, oh, I was inspired by, you know, makeup done by Alice Cooper or you know, Manson or Kiss or whatever, and then they just kind of meld it into their own. So
Are you talking about me personally or Dawn of Ashes in general?
I'm talking about in general, man, and you, because every time I see a picture of you, you have a different makeup scheme going on. You have different eyeliner, different, you know, everything. So just kind of curious.
I mean, like in the earlier days of Dawn of Ashes, we would do like the liquid latex and the blood and the apron, kind of butcher apron look. And I think Hostile just came out around that time. So we were trying to do this like whole like burn effects mixed with Hostile look. That was when we first started. I feel like each album for Dawn of Ashes has a different, everything has like a theme to it. So I kind of think of all these different looks that would fit the album. Like for instance, the new album that comes out, we have this whole like funeral kind of look going on right now. Um, as far as like just makeup goes, because prior to being a professional musician, I wanted to be a horror special effects artist. So I kind of took all my knowledge from that and brought it into being a musician. because all the bands that I grew up that I loved, I feel like they always had a look to them. I feel like it kind of brought life to the music. Um, example, the band Behemoth. Before I actually heard their music, I saw a video and I was just like, oh man, these guys are amazing. Like, and it made me like the music even more. Same with like growing up in the 90s, liking like White Zombie and even earlier Manson and Nine Inch Nails and earlier Cradle of Filth. It's just right. Like all those bands kind of had this look. Their music videos were fucking awesome. It's like the look, the music videos, it all kind of just like complemented each other really well. So I knew that's the type of band I would want to be in. And it kind of, now the whole like aesthetic part and then the makeup, it's just kind of part of my lifestyle now.
All right, I can dig that. Is there a particular brand of makeup that you choose to use above others? I mean, this is purely a question for like the fans, so people can get to know you more.
Depends on what type of makeup do you mean.
Um,
Special effects makeup or the
Casual
glam
everyday, man.
makeup? My everyday
Every day.
makeup?
Yep, every day.
There's Urban Decay, there's Sugar Pill. I'm a model for a company called Surreal Makeup, so I use their stuff. I even use cheap stuff like NYX, NYX, and Elf and stuff like that. But I think like Urban Decay and Makeup Forever, because I'm vegan, so I have to use the vegan makeup. So
Right.
I used to like MAC back in the day, and then I found out that they test all their stuff on animals, and I had to stop using it. So
That's a very valid reason to stop. I mean, I try and use when I decide to go out, I try and use, cruelty-free makeup myself. So
right.
I feel that. I mean, obviously I don't have any on now because I'm not going out and doing anything. All right. Because I see I love some of the shades that you use and stuff. And I know that I used to use brands like Huda and stuff myself, and whatnot. So this is just kind of a curiosity question for people, just so they can kind of be like, oh, I use that too, kind of thing. So people like stuff like that.
I'm fine with it. I'm not gonna not tell anybody what I use. I mean, there's no secret to it.
Right. But still some people might be too shy to ask or whatever. So, and is that a question you get asked very often, man? Is what makeup you use?
I mean, I've been asked a lot of interesting questions, but yeah, I'm sure it's come up a couple of times.
Favorite movie or movies that may be coming out or are out, I guess, whatever. Favorite movie
that came out or
whatever, either one, man.
The most recent movie that I love, and it's like my favorite movie right now, is a movie called Antlers. It's
It sounds familiar.
It was a movie I was waiting for about 3 years, and then I saw it on Halloween, and it was just amazing. What's his name? Who did Pan's Labyrinth? I think he was involved in it.
Del Toro?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't want to screw up his first name.
Company called Legacy Effects did the special effects for the movie, and they're actually Stan Winston's school before when he passed away, they became Legacy Effects. And they're the ones that did the special effects for The Mandalorian and Book of Boba. And there's actually 2 people that we work with in our music videos that works for Legacy Effects. So like right. Someone that works at Legacy Effects is doing the special effects for the next Dawn of Ashes music video.
Oh, that's awesome. So you brought up Star Wars. Are you excited for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's coming out?
I am.
Same. I'm wondering if they will bring back Darth Maul because Darth Maul is supposed to have a long-standing rivalry with Ben Kenobi. I mean, if you've read the books and kind of gotten into the lore, anyways, Maul is my favorite character, and I don't know why. Do you have a favorite Star Wars character?
That's kind of involved because it's always been Boba Fett. So I'm trying to remember her name from Clone Wars, but she's the Sith Lord, the bald one. She looks like a vampire.
Asajj Ventress.
I wish they would have her come out like in a real time. Someone did the makeup, and Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ruin it, but it was just amazing.
Oh yeah, Ventress. I kind of wish they would do more with the Sith Lords in general, kind of like what was it? Knights of the Old Republic. They had a lot to do with the Sith Lords, and then the Star Wars games as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool, especially if they went back to I can't remember the planet, the Sith planet where they train everybody. It's on the tip of my tongue. But yes, I think they should do more with Sith. It's kind of funny that you say Boba Fett. I think that's a long-standing favorite for a lot of fans. But it's really cool that you brought up Ventress because that's one that is not brought up very often. A lot of people these days, when they think of Clone Wars, they think of Ahsoka.
Well,
So
I love her now. I didn't really I guess I've never really watched the full Clone Wars. I started watching it, so I haven't really seen her in her badass stages in that. But in Mandalorian, and I did, and she was just so fucking awesome that I just feel like if there was like a battle between her and those two, it would be like insane, like a real life thing.
oh yeah, I think that would be awesome. I definitely agree with that. What are you wanting to see come out of the book of Boba Fett? Has it lived up to your expectations? Have you expected more, less?
Honestly, like the last 3 episodes were just fucking amazing. Like in the beginning, I was like, man, he keeps getting his ass kicked. I'm like, come on, this is Boba Fett. Like, the fuck, like.
I
And
think
then
we
all of a
all were
sudden,
like that.
yeah, and then all of a sudden he just got, he became Boba Fett. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I honestly don't know what they're gonna do with everything right now because I've heard that the actor that played Mando is kind of bailing out. So I don't know.
That could definitely put a damper on things. Um, okay, so are you a purist when it comes to the original six, or do you enjoy the newer ones that they made? Because I'm not a fan of like the whole Kylo Ren saga thing. Just
I mean, I enjoy them. My favorite one out of all the new ones is going to be Rogue One, and I feel like it's such a good Star Wars movie. It's like that one kind of just stands out of all those. Like it made no sense. I'm like, this one is just kind of has like the vibe of the originals.
mhm.
So it's always going to be the originals, like Empire Strikes Back is always going to be like my all-time favorite one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a fan of the original trilogy, and then I like episode one for the use for them having Qui-Gon and having Maul. I think that was, the casting of that was phenomenal. And
I
then
used to hate those ones, and then I watched them. This is when I was just like so anti CGI, like back in the day, and then I watched them, and I'm like, they're not bad. They're definitely not good like the originals, but they had
right.
their moments. There was just certain things I was just like, so
Jar Jar.
yes.
I think everyone just hates Jar. I just don't understand the Gungans in general. I think that was it was unnecessary and not needed at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had to get through to the kids somehow, right? Marketing. That's all it was marketing.
Right.
Um, yeah. Are you happy that they are using Ewan McGregor as Kenobi, that he's reprising his role?
Yeah, that I am. I'm pretty stoked about that.
Same. Okay. I know you've been talking about your new album a lot recently, but I do have to go over that for those who didn't see. Well, obviously didn't see the last one. So you went to some dark places in this new album, man. Like it was super heavy, like emotionally heavy. Did that take a lot out of you to write?
Yeah, I made a statement. I don't remember what it was, that this is the last Dawn of Ashes album I'm writing for a long time, because this album just kind of took a toll on me. Um, took me about 2 years to write this album, and I remember just kind of slipping into this place that it was just really bad, and I was going through a lot of therapy, and every topic in each song is like legit stuff that I've been through, or stuff that I've done to other people. So yeah, it was definitely probably the most emotionally draining album. I think that was the hardest part about writing this album. It wasn't exactly writing the music, it was just kind of digging into a place I didn't want to really go into. And but at the time I felt like music has always been my therapy. So I felt like I was in a spot where I had to write this album, and I felt like it would help others who kind of been in that place, because you know me growing up in my youth, I looked up to certain bands. I know there's fans out there that look up to me, and hopefully the content of this album, the lyrical content, will resonate with some of the fans, and it'll help them out.
I definitely think it's going to. I truly believe that it's going to. It's a very relatable album. There is very relatable content within the album. So I think it's gonna help people immensely. And I'm excited for its worldwide release for people. That's coming from me and from, you know, some of the darker places I've been. So I can definitely, I feel it, it resonates. So
It's like I've
yeah,
done a lot of self work over the years, and have a lot of discipline, but there's still stuff that's still lingers there. So it was definitely inspirational for the writing of this album. So yeah, I feel like it is the darkest album I've written. I feel like it's definitely I don't know. So we're doing another interview next Saturday where I'm going to have all the fans listen to the album, and then I'm going to interview them and ask them what did it do for them?
I like that.
Because for me, it's like when I hear certain songs, it's like a knife in the heart. So we'll see.
Uh, yeah, that's actually a really good idea, to get the feedback from the fans. That's an interesting way to do things. And I think that that helps bring the fans closer to you. I think it makes them feel more involved, which I think
Right.
is really cool. That's really cool of you to do, man. Legit.
Thought it
Um,
was needed.
yeah, I think it's nice to hear just how you've helped people, and it's cool for them to be able to tell you, because a lot of people, before social media was really a thing, there'd be people who would sit back and listen to music and they'd be like, man, I wish I could tell them how much this, helped me, blah blah blah. Good example, Stan by Eminem, like that, dude's writing all these letters to him, but because it's going through the mail, it's not through social media. he doesn't get them forever, yada yada yada. You probably know that whole story, song, whatever. But that now that you can do that, that's really cool. I think it's going to help a lot of people. So good idea,
Yeah, I think
man.
that's one of the pros of social media. I mean, there's pros and cons, but I mean, the way you can be accessible to each other, and a fan can write to me and say, how much my music has done something to help them through life it's cool.
Yeah, I I definitely agree with that. I do believe that that is one of the great things of social media these days. Which brings me to another thing. How has your battle been going with social media? Because I know they've been flagging you for a lot of things, which I think is ridiculous because everything you do has been done tastefully, albeit, maybe not to everyone's artistic sensibilities, but it's still artistic. And yet you've been getting flagged for many, many things. How is that? How are you doing with that?
I kind of provoke it. I've always been kind of like the type that wants to create some sort of reaction. So I kind of like to provoke
You like to poke
Facebook
the
and
bear?
Insta. Well, I hate Facebook and Instagram. So it's just like, I knew it would have some sort of the stuff I've been posting. I knew it would have some sort of like reaction and piss people off. And, I kind of get off on that sort of thing. So, um, and it's like social media has gone to shit lately, and it's like you post things and no one sees it, so it's like might as well post something to fucking have some sort of reaction to someone, because unless you're like fucking showing your ass, or you're then you're
Yeah,
not getting anything. So
that really is what it's become. Yeah, it's almost, if it's not pornographic, then no one really gives a shit.
but then when I post something semi-pornographic, it gets banned.
Right, right. I've noticed that. I'm like, but his is art, and this is smut and trash and garbage. I don't get. Okay, maybe it's not garbage to the person who posted it, but a lot of people just, I don't know. I guess I
It
could just
is
say
what it
that
is.
society it's going to hell in a handbasket. So, what the hell can I say? I just take photos and talk to people. That's all I do. Woo. And read comic books. Um, that's a thing. Do you have a favorite Marvel character?
I was never really into, I mean, maybe I was when I was a kid into Marvel and all of that. I'm not a fan of the movies and stuff like that, but I'm more into like Batman. I think Batman would be,
Okay.
yeah.
So he would be your favorite hero? Well, vigilante, more in like.
Well, him and Spawn, and there was another comic back in the '90s. I don't remember. It's called Grendel.
Yep. I remember Grendel.
Yeah, not a lot of people remember that comic, but it was like so violent and it was awesome.
I'm a I'm not a big like Marvel DC guy. I mean, I like the DC because of the McFarlane DC run that he has with the figures, but I'm more of an Image comic guy. Image and Chaos. Chaos is Lady Death and Evil Ernie, that
I
kind
think
of
I've
thing.
always been more into Dark Horse comics because
Okay.
yeah, Alien vs Predator and Alien, Grendel, and trying to remember what else came out of that. I haven't like collected comics in a long ass time, but I mean, I do have them. I just, yeah.
Dark Horse has dabbled into manga now, like Wolf and Cub, which is another really, really brutal series, which I think Dark Horse is kind of known for their brutal series. Um, Shit, who did Hellboy? Was that Dark Horse?
I have no
Um,
idea.
I couldn't tell you. But yeah, okay. So you're back in the golden age of comics, the 90s. Honestly, I think
I
that's
think
when
I'm
comics
in
were the
the
best.
I think I'm in the golden age with everything.
I
I
think the
I,
90s were
I
the
am
best.
I am definitely not in this age.
I think the
Just
90s were the best, man.
I don't get anything now. So I listen to music from the 80s and 90s. I watch movies from the 80s and 90s. I don't know.
Well, the 90s were everything was just so free. Everyone was pushing the boundaries. The cartoons were pushing the boundaries, books were pushing the boundaries, clothing was pushing the boundaries. Everything was going against the grain in the 80s and 90s, and now everything has become so PC. You you can barely open your mouth without somebody getting pissed off with you for one thing or another. You know, I,
Yeah.
I, I think I remember the 90s. One of the things I remember the most was from wrestling. The When everyone was walking around doing the hip thrust, telling everyone to suck it. You can't do that these days. Oh man,
You know,
you'd be in
I
so much shit.
it's funny. I've been watching Seinfeld for the past like binge watching it, and I'm like, how like if this came out now, it would like totally be like banned. Some of the stuff they talk about on that show, it's just like, wow.
I actually just restarted that last night on Netflix.
Yeah, I've
So
been
yeah,
kind of binge watching that.
yeah. Um, I don't know. I guess the 90s people just had thicker skin. We actually go outside and play and wrestle around, and now everyone's inside, all the time behind a computer or something. Which I
On
mean, don't get
TikTok.
oh fuck. Wow, yeah, yeah. That I have so many issues with TikTok, man. So many issues with TikTok. That's just one platform that's just poisoning people. Yeah. What are your
I
thoughts on
agree.
TikTok?
I mean, I have one, but I barely post anything, and majority of the stuff I post is like me doing stuff with my Eurorack modules. Once in a while, I'll post something fucking stupid, but I mean, I don't get it. I mean, whatever makes people feel good about themselves. I don't understand it.
Think yeah, that's me too. I just I don't understand a whole lot of social media these days. I don't understand a whole lot these days. You're right. I'm stuck in the 90s, man. I'm stuck in the 90s.
Yeah.
Whatever. Shit, I feel like I'm wasting your time again now. I
No,
feel like
it's okay. Don't worry about it.
so tell us about this new project that you're working on, man.
It's called Void Stasis. We're releasing. I'm working with uh, two other people. It's a collaboration project. We're releasing our first album on a label called Cryo Chamber in May.
Ooh, all right.
So, um, yeah, I've been working on that immediately after the Dawn of Ashes album. I jumped on that and kind of been focused on doing that because I got heavily into Eurorack modules. So, yeah, it's dark ambient music. It's definitely a different sort of vibe than the Dawn of Ashes stuff.
I was actually going to ask that. Is it going to be as heavy and dark, like, aggro tech-ish as Dawn of Ashes? But what you just said, it will not
Yeah,
be.
not at all. It's just moody and vibey. It's, atmospheric type music. It's not. I don't know if you're familiar with dark ambient, but
Mhm.
if you listen to any of it, it's you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. I'm big into synth music of all sorts, dark wave and all that, So there was a point in time where I was into hard style and that kind of stuff.
Right
So
on.
I get around. I guess I could say I get around. But yeah, I'm excited to hear your new project, man. You said it drops in May, so that's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Are you hoping that a lot of the fans from Dawn of Ashes comes over and listens to that as well? Because I know there are some people who just like, I don't want to, you know.
I mean, I'm sure they will, or will gain fans from that side to Dawn of Ashes, or I'm sure they will. You know,
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Um, all right. Are you planning, because we spoke about it before, you said that you were getting ready to do like a cross country tour. When are you planning on having that kick off, man?
in June we're playing Wave Gothentreffen, so the big German festival that's in June. So we're doing that. We're possibly doing a couple of dates around that in Europe, and then in July we do a whole North American tour. So that's so right on the schedule. We start filming Dawn of Ashes music video on March 6th, and then the album comes out March 18th. So and then just stuff around that time.
So you're looking to have a pretty busy year for Dawn of Ashes.
Hoping.
I I feel that, man. I mean, the last couple years have been kind of fucked with COVID and shutdowns and
Yeah.
restrictions. And how's that affected Dawn of Ashes, man?
I mean, obviously affected touring. We were supposed to go on a tour, and then that happened, and we had to cancel the tour. I mean, we released an album before this one. We didn't get to tour for that album. We just so going on tour. We're pretty much performing for two albums besides one because we never got to play for the Antinomian. But honestly, like I said, I'm not speaking for the rest of the band, but for me, I'm a very like home buddy person, so it didn't really affect me that much. Like, I was hearing people were like really depressed that they had to be at home and stuff like that, and I was just like, I'm enjoying this. I don't have to be around anybody.
I get to play video games all day, man. I get to level up in Destiny.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
exactly.
Hey, man, I feel that. I played the first Destiny. I played a little of the second Destiny, but then it seemed to get a little repetitive to me. But maybe that's just because I haven't really played any of the newer DLC or anything like that. So I think that could definitely have something to do with it. Um, what are your thoughts on Sony acquiring Bungie, man?
I think it's actually a good thing because they're gonna actually, I think they're gonna make like a Destiny show or movie or something like that, and I think it'll be a good thing.
I think I can agree with that because I know I want to say Sony did that in retaliation to Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. So
Yeah, I don't think it's really gonna affect anything on the Microsoft world.
So is there a game that you're looking forward to coming out? Because you said you're a massive gamer. So
There's a bunch. I mean, I was looking forward to Elden Rings actually, but then I got sucked into Ark. I was playing Ark for a while, and I'm looking forward to the new Bethesda game. I think it's a Starfield or some shit like that. It's kind of like a space Skyrim type game.
mhm.
Um, I know there's another game, and I forgot the name, but shoot,
Last question before we end this. What is your preferred console to game on?
on PC.
Same. Same. I'm using my ROG laptop right now. So
Yeah, I have a Alienware, so I'm a PC guy. I used to be Xbox, and now I'm all about PC gaming.
I did. Well, PC is a lot better. You can do a lot more modding. Like, you know, Cyberpunk runs a lot better on PC than it does any console. You know, things like that. So, thanks, man. You have a wonderful night, dude.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.